Now, how many of you out there are hunting an ag field or around an ag field? I remember growing up and hunting in the 80s in the Thumb area, late 80s, 87, 88, 89, all the way up through 97. You know, dreams are made out there. It was fun. We watched the deer during the summertime. We couldn't wait to get out there and hunt, but we found our opportunities were fleeting, and it really taught me a lot about hunting. In fact, it taught me to save my stands for later during the rut, backdoor entrance where I came all the way around, got into a stand, wait for the deer, come back to me, and go in for that one-time kill. And it really taught me to avoid going in and spooking deer. And you know, I talk about 3 tips for hunting an ag field, but really the one major overall that's not even one of the 3 is you can't spook deer. And so that's the big problem with ag field hunting. And when we hunted small woodlots in the Thumb area of Michigan, we had a 5-acre woods and a 10-acre woods, for example, in the one area we hunted. Well, one was in a 160-acre area, and the other one was about a 300-acre area. We're surrounded by ag, and their 2 were adjoining about 100 yards apart with some grass and grown over area. The problem was in those locations is if we went in at the wrong time and spooked deer out of the 5-acre woods, they'd go right through the 10-acre woods, half mile across the fields, 3/4 mile across the fields over there to the big woods across there. So we're spooking them 1.5 miles at a time just by spooking and going in at the wrong time. So you really learn quickly, even as us having no experience back in the 80s and really limited experience, no one in my family hunted, we really learned quickly to be very, very careful. And so that's what it's all about. You know, number 1, and this gets into the rut time, and I've talked about this before. I was watching a television program. They were watching a big buck out in the field, and they just felt like they couldn't get to him. Boy, I wish we could get there in the morning and hunt him and get in there. You just knew he was running the inside of that wood line, half mile across the fields. And at that time, this is about 15 years ago, I just wanted to scream at the TV and just say, hey, just go in post daybreak stand entrance. And so you have a rut stand, and we have a redneck blind right behind Dylan over here. And you can see this big bank of switchgrass here. That redneck blind looks at a water hole on the inside. It's about a 25-yard shot. So really cool setup. And we'll talk about that a couple different ways. But there's a lot of rutting deer. We call this buck corner. We've had a lot of history of nice bucks in this location. So really cool to wait until after the deer have cleared the field, and then we make a beeline through a trail in the switchgrass right at the redneck blind. We get in and we hunt the water hole on the inside of the woods. We just have to make sure the deer are out of the field here. And that's so critical. Then we're not spooking any deer. We're not spooking the deer in the woods around here. And then we sit there and the wind's blowing out into the field. And if it's blowing into an area where the deer are going to be in the evening, we have to get out of here 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 1, whatever it might be, before the deer start getting out in the field, and go find a better stand where we're not spooking deer getting out in the evening. But that post daybreak stand entrance is a critical one for you to understand. Now, a lot of people don't like hunting in the morning, so that brings up the afternoon evening. The afternoon evening can present great opportunity. That's where a lot of my opportunities back in the 80s when I was a teenager resulted from, was hunting in that afternoon evening. We quickly learned that if we went in the morning and we spooked them, those deer weren't in that 5-acre woods or 10-acre woods in the afternoon. We had to be very careful, even to the point where we could drive around in the moonlight in the morning, look for deer out in the field, see what side of the woods they were on, and maybe try a sneak in on the opposite side of the woods and sit in 10 yards into the woods. We sat down on the ground a lot back then, and we'd wait for those deer to come in. But if we went in on the wrong side, those deer were not coming back. And so the afternoon sit, we would wait for. We learned, because we'd spook deer, that at least if we went in the afternoon, we had the area blocked going in, then we could have a great sit. Same redneck blind as an example. We could come in through the open fields, come in through the switchgrass. The beauty of the switchgrass is deer don't like to bed in the switchgrass. Now people will say, well, that's where my deer bed, they bed in the switchgrass. That's in areas that are void of cover or quality cover. Deer don't like to miss feeding, just like you or I don't like to miss a feeding and a food during the day, dinner time, lunch, breakfast, whatever it might be. Deer feed 5 times in a 24-hour period. They're rhythmic pattern feeders, and they really have to feed every 4 or 5 hours. So if they're in the switchgrass, there's no food. They don't eat this. So that means they're missing quality feedings unless they leave the cover, which they don't like to do. And so some areas because of the lack of quality cover, big open ag areas, coverless ag regions, then those deer are really going to gravitate to switchgrass because they don't have a choice. Maybe a pine thicket, they don't have a choice. They don't want to be in there, there's no food, but they don't have a choice. That sets it up really nice around here where we have good cover and we have good food sources. We have good cover that has browse available. So for us to come in through the switchgrass, blow our scent into the switchgrass bank, we can come in here in the afternoon. There's no deer out in the fields. We can sit, blow our scent back into the switch, and as long as the deer are crossing over here or crossing down there, which they do, we have a big food plot on the other side over there. We have a big food plot down here. It's just kind of a dead area. They still go around this inside corner a lot during the daylight hours because they're cruising. The switchgrass makes them feel comfortable more on the inside. But the beauty of this is we can come in here and sit till dark and we don't have that risk of spooking deer downwind as we're blowing the scent out into this field, which is our approach. And we're blowing it out into the switchgrass. Switchgrass helps absorb the scent too. So that really helps in us not spooking deer in that location. A great afternoon sit. Be right back, but I'm excited to announce a speaking event. I don't speak a lot, don't get out much, but August 18th, this Sunday in Carson City, Michigan at Harvey's Milling. The information is in the description. It's at 2 o'clock, but you need to RSVP. So check out the information, call that number, you can sign up. We already have well over 100 people attending, and a special thank you for you Michigan folks. This is where my roots began with WHS, and I can't wait to thank you and hopefully see you there. Now back to the video. However, we still have to get out of here. And that's a big problem when it comes to afternoon sits on ag fields, because if you don't get out without spooking deer, that was a one and done sit. And I don't like doing that. It's one thing if you're on public land or you're on a property where you're only hunting for a few days and then you're moving on. But most of us have to manage where we hunt. We can't just blow it out and then wait for a month for it to get better again. We have that opportunity and we want to manage the risk of that opportunity, meaning when I get out of that stand, I need to know where to go. So you have to have an exit plan. That exit plan might mean that you go out the opposite direction you came in. So many of us get pigeonholed into thinking we got to go in the same way we came out. I want to go in through these fields, drop into the stand, and because we have this pitch right here, because I can look out the windows, maybe you're looking off your stand location, I can look out and see if there's any deer out here, then I could go across the saddle, get on the other side, get on the elevation change, get out of here. If I don't see deer on this side, I can get out, but I'm not going back through the middle like I did when I came in. And then if I really have to, we have an inside road that goes down. It gets around and below this food plot over here. We can come up below a power line that's about 600 yards that way and get out of here without going through food. So that's the lowest hole in the bucket exit. If I really feel that I have to, that's the way I'm getting out of here. So I want clean trails along this edge. I want the option to go different directions. And then I still want the option to go through the woods and get out of here. And even then, there's a lot of times we exit through bedding areas knowing the deer aren't going to be there for another 8 or 9 hours. So you have that opportunity to get out without spooking deer. That works out really well because we know we can get away with it. And that's what it's all about, is getting in and out without spooking deer. So whether it's at post-daybreak stand entrance or coming into the same stand in the afternoon, making sure we can get out without spooking deer, those are 2 ways. And finally, the third way. We have another stand that's about 50, 55 yards from that redneck on the other side of the water hole. The way we come into that is we simply go the opposite direction, meaning we come in from through the timber, through the cover. We get up to that, and while we're standing out here, that stands about 100 yards away from us. So we're coming in from the field edge about 100 yards away. We're coming up a steep hill on the interior road. We get into the stand, we can blow our scent off, and that's a great way to hunt that edge, especially with cruising bucks, or maybe you think there's a bachelor group in the early season coming through here. Regardless, so then we can get in there a half hour before daylight, wait for those deer, and blow our scent in a safe location off that ridge, use the thermals to our advantage. And then how do we exit? You always have to consider you're not spooking deer. Instead of going back down through the cover and spooking the deer that are in the inside now bedding, instead of being out here in the ag like they were at dark when we came in, We just walk straight out through here to the field, get picked up here, and get out of here. So those are 3 ways I like to hunt an ag field, whether it's at post daybreak stand entrance, especially during the rut, that afternoon, evening sit all season long, or again, that rut hunting, maybe a chance on opening day, depending on what I see, coming on the backside, going through cover, getting close to the field edge, but not so close that I'm spooking out those deer, but close enough that it gives me a great exit strategy at 11 o'clock where I can get out of here during daylight, get picked up, go basically the direction we would coming into this location in the afternoon. And again, the name of the game, whatever method you use to hunting ag land, is not spooking deer. So you can not only preserve and have a great hunt for this immediate sit, but for weeks to come. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching the video. I appreciate you watching the videos. We have over 600 articles on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. It's all free. And I also appreciate those of you that check out our books. I have 5 books starting from 2012. We have web classes on the site, whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. Check out Pure Wildlife Blends. I really appreciate you guys that have already purchased our seed. We've had thousands of people. We've shipped to 48 states. We have digital land management through whitetailstrategy.com. That's taking all these ideas and concepts I put in the YouTube videos and digitally transforming your land for you. And then finally, we have our clients and client visits. We'll visit over 300 clients as a group this year. We visit anywhere in the country. Boots on the ground is always the best, but we have a lot of ways to help you, from free to client visits and all in between. Check us out again, whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, Pure Wildlife Blends, and whitetailstrategy.com.